We are doing a part 2 to watching the Girls Gone Bible podcast episode about sex before marriage. So if you have not seen the first one, hop over to the link below and you can watch the first part there, and we will get to the second part in just a second. I'm not trying to start any fights here, but I do think it's important to get some feedback and reaction from a person who is trained to be sex positive and to work on a basis of research-backed, evidence-backed information about human sexuality, which is what we will be doing today. I think that's all the intro I need. I think we can just hop right in and pick up right where we left off.
Read the story of the Samaritan woman. It's such a beautiful story. I'm just going to skip down. She said, the woman said, "Sir, give me this water so I won't get thirsty." And then he starts showing her that he's a Messiah. "But why don't you call your husband to come back?" She said, "I have no husband." And Jesus said, "You are right when you say you have no husband. The fact is you have had 5 husbands, and the man that you are living with now is not your husband." What you said is quite true. And so in this, when I read this, he's not trying to shame her. He's just trying to tell her, the water that you are drinking, you're trying to go to all of these areas to fulfill. Now you're with a man you're living with that you're not even married to, that she's probably having sex with, and you're still not fulfilled. And so many of us are operating out of a place of loneliness and brokenness. Half of the reason we're having sex is out of brokenness. I know for me,
some people are just having sex for fun. Some people are having sex for the purpose of enhancing the intimacy that they have with whoever that person might be. And this absolutely sounds like he's shaming her. I think she started this by saying this was a beautiful story. I'm not feeling that this is a beautiful story. I'm sure very soon in this story, God or Jesus will like show grace to her in some way. You are showing grace to a person after a problem that you literally created. You are shaming her, and now you're like, but I'm also going to give you grace. It's just textbook manipulation.
when you want to pursue purity, it's really hard to do that when you're already in a relationship. So God taking me out of the season where I'm trying to date and putting me into a season of complete singleness.
They love a
with
season.
Him. And as I kept understanding, follow my commandments, I kept understanding how much God just hates sin, how much it goes against how much it goes against him. When I was like, okay, God doesn't like this. This is serious. Sin is serious.
I also, again, and I'm curious if anyone in the comments can let me know, is it an explicitly listed sin to have sex before marriage in the Bible? Like, I have not really gotten a lot of clarity around that. I asked my mom as well, and she was not sure. She does Bible study, so occasionally she does have answers to these questions. I wonder if this is one of those things where we are sort of making up that it is a sin. This is like so cliche now, but the whole thing about how, you know, you're not supposed to eat shrimp. Like in the Bible, they tell you not to eat shrimp. And if you're eating shrimp, then you're going against the word of the Bible. But I guess they'll turn around and say, well, it's an interpretation, it's the time, it's blah, blah, blah. And it's not actually a sin. I wonder if they are doing a similar thing where they're interpreting some language, like what she just read, as it is a sin to have sex before marriage, even though it's not explicitly said. And we're just going to cherry pick the parts where it feels important to us and where it doesn't. That feels like that's what's happening. I don't know.
We're all acting in today's society like it's not that big of a deal. It's okay. God still loves me. It's okay. He'll forgive me. And no, that was what was separating me from him. I'm in
Will
my
he or
Bible
will he
and I'm
not?
dating and I'm doing all this stuff, and I felt so much depression. So I felt such a lack of peace in my life, and it's because I was having one foot in and one foot out. How can we have any peace when we're out living the way we want to? How can we have any peace when we're doing the very thing that God is asking us? Don't do that.
I am obsessed with her Boston accent. Every now and then it peeks out, and I don't know. I love it.
How can we say that we love Jesus with all of our hearts, but be doing the very thing that God doesn't want us to do?
That he died for.
Exactly. And so
you made up the entire board game, and then you put people out there to fail, knowing they would fail, and then you're like, no, but wait, don't worry. I will fix it once again. It's like, the fuck? You are the person who created this situation. You're the person who created the rules, knowing that we would probably break them. And now you're like, and you should be really grateful that we sent someone down for you. Huh? Stop it with that. It's so manipulative and ego-driven, and I will just never understand.
When I started going intimate with Jesus, when I started really following him, when you do the hard thing and you pick up
Hmm.
your cross and you follow him and you make that decision, I know this is hard. I know that looks really good, but I say no because my life is separated to you. I love you more than I love that thing. When you make that decision, because temptations come your way, it's hard. That it feels good, right? We want to
Hmm.
do the thing that feels good, but not everything that feels good is good. And so when I made that decision to lie it down and
You
I
made that
started
up though.
really
Sex and intimacy feels good. And in many cases, it is good. It can be a net positive. The reason that you feel it's not a net positive is because of the rules that you made up. So much so that for even the people who experience deep shame from having sex before they're married, or having multiple partners, that is still at the hands of rules that you made up. People who are not so burdened by purity culture don't care. Of course, you can't make blanket statements that everyone is fine. That's like saying that every relationship you're in is going to be perfect. It's like we know that that's not the case. But on the whole, if the thing that is bringing people stress, judgment, shame is the effects of purity culture, you have created the problem and now you're living in the problem, and you're like trying to say that it's everyone's problem. You made it. You created it.
warm Christian life and I really went all in with Jesus, that is when I was free. And that's why I sit on here so boldly and I will go in the middle of the street and I will literally say to people, stop, stop. That is why you are living in hell. That is why there
Yeah,
is no peace in your relationship and you never will have peace.
you
It's
won't.
a fake peace from the world. And then it ends up completely going to death. And that's why the Bible says anyone who sins is a slave to sin. If you're a slave to anything else but Jesus, you make idols out of that. You can't have any peace. You
You
can't
can't.
truly follow Jesus if you are a slave to something else.
That's crazy. Anytime you're sinning, you are a slave to sin. What? What? They make these like very broad statements like that. Like in part one, Angela, the other woman, had said something about to sin is to experience death or whatever. Like when you sin, you die. And then there was a phrase that Taylor, skeptical heretic, said on Chewed Gum yesterday that she was taught when she was evangelical about sinning leading to death. I have to ask her exactly what it was. But that is something that these people are learning. And it's like, being a slave to sin. What are you talking about? I will be living proof that I have found a partner that I love so much not following these rules. I have found a partner that is so compatible with me. And I'll tell you one thing, we did not follow these shitbag rules. We are both heathens, proudly. So you're just creating the judgment. You are making hell on your own. This is a hell of your own creation.
We've had our hearts absolutely destroyed
Yeah.
and ripped out of our chest because relationships have ended that we were intimate with, and it is unnatural. It's not good. It's not normal. And I just want to speak to any.
But it's also to say it's unnatural and it's not normal and blah, blah, blah. When you think about the things that people are naturally doing, having sex is one of them. You know what's not? Having an institutionalized marriage. That's not natural. We created that. So the thing that is natural is intimacy. It's having sex with a person that you are feeling intimate towards. That's natural. That's like literally a human desire. You have made up this construct. And again, this is the hell of your own creation.
We were at one of the shows and someone came up to me and she prayed and asked me to pray for her. And she said that she's in a relationship where it was impure, but now she wants to pursue purity.
Mhm.
And she said that she said she doesn't know whether she should end it or not. And I really believe that if you are in an impure relationship currently, it's really hard to then begin to pursue purity
It
together.
is.
I'm not saying it's impossible. However, I do believe that there may have to be a separation between you two. That's not to say that you can't come back together. And that could be the case if both parties are heading straight for Jesus, hiding in the heart of Jesus, letting him cleanse you, letting him purify you, letting him change you from the inside out. And but you're on the same page. Like both people are on the same page and want the same thing. And maybe you come back together. But I just know, and if you were in an impure relationship and you started following Jesus and that relationship was taken from you, either they left or it fell apart, I want you to know that that is probably God's grace on your life.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
The constant use of the word impure is driving me nuts because there is nothing imperfect, impure, dirty about premarital sex. There's nothing about it that will make your value any less if you have had premarital sex and you also are not interested in getting into, Jesus camp at any point in time. There's no part of it that affects your value. To make a moral judgment of a person over and over, I should really memorize this, the quote about how the only person who should be judging is Jesus himself. So why are you out here being so judgmental? And I think the response that they would give me is because they want to protect these people from harsher judgment, harsher punishment, whatever. In the circumstance that Ange is describing, where someone came up to her and said that this girl was in a relationship, it was intimate, she wants to pursue purity, which again, you have to think of the implications of the language they're using. That alone is just, come on. So she's wanting to pursue purity, but she has a partner. And I agree with Ange that I think it would be very hard to go back on it unless you are both on the same page, because sex is important. Whether you have it or whether you not have it, it is an important conversation to have. And so if the context of your relationship started with the intimacy, to then take it away is like, okay, well, I got into this relationship with the assumption that these were all of the things that we were agreeing upon being okay and appropriate and feeling good and safe for us. Now you're saying that's no longer the case. And while I understand that there is a lot more that comes with intimate relationships, romantic relationships beyond sex, to make it not important is so silly to me, because intimacy and that to that level is literally the thing that separates you from your fucking cousins. Okay? Like that, well, in most parts of the world. Ugh. But that's the thing that separates you in this personal relationship versus the other personal relationships you have. So it is important, and it's okay to prioritize that and emphasize the importance of that in your relationship. Many times I feel like I hear people say, I feel bad for making this a big deal in my relationship because they mean so much more to me than the sex. I feel gross for feeling that way. And then I have to remind them, but this is the thing that separates this relationship from many of your other ones. So, yeah, you're allowed to be specific. You're allowed to have some requests, and it should be an ongoing dialogue. So, yeah, I think for that girl who wants to pursue purity, obviously, if she came to me, I would have a much different perspective. I would ask her why. Why is this important to you? And I feel like this goes without saying, but everyone is allowed to do whatever they want. As long as they feel safe and good in what they're doing, I'm so happy for you. The problem is creating a podcast, an entire ideology around this. This affects people. It affects their sexual development. It affects the way that they feel about themselves. You are telling people over and over again that they're impure. You think that that's not going to affect someone's mental health and the way that they value themselves, which is interesting because in the dating do's and don'ts, Ange had the advice of don't put your self-worth into other people. Know that rejection has nothing to do with you. Your self-worth should come, internally. I thought that was great advice. Rejection is often not about you, and it's more about the other person most of the time. But then you're creating a situation where people's self-worth is being put into question like this, and you're calling them impure over and over and over again. And you're talking about not having sex as being the thing that exhibits purity. You're making these moral judgments on people, and then you're turning around and telling them that they should find ways to be, secure in their self-worth. You're creating a mess out of all of this.
He loves us so much that sometimes he has to disrupt our entire lives and take things from us. I just missionary dating doesn't work. Yes, could you possibly where you end up with a person who's not a believer and you convert them, and that yes, but for the people that I love, which is you and my best friends and my best friends on the other side of this camera, I want you to end up with someone who is so on fire for Jesus. I want your main requirement
My
be
friggin'
that
nightmare.
their hearts burn for Jesus 24 hours a day. It's too
Especially
hard
for a man. It's hard when you go into a relationship with a
especially
man who
for a
doesn't know
man.
Jesus, and they don't know, they're not
Oh,
wholeheartedly
of
in with
course,
Jesus.
yeah.
It's really hard as a man to lead you right.
Oh, 100%. I know how hard it is. And I know, especially if you were having sex and you had a soul tie, and especially if that person left you now, it's all.
Not the soul tie. Not the soul tie. That's not real. That's not real. There's a whole thing that, like, the person that you lose your virginity to, you have like a chemical, biological attachment to, and it's the soul tie, and it's stop, 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 stop. When you experience intimacy with someone, you do have a flood of hormones. Those hormones can also find you in other ways. For instance, oxytocin. It's the hug hormone. If you hug someone for a long time, you will get a bunch of oxytocin. So now every person that I hug, I have a soul tie to. That's not real. And it's, what's so frustrating about this whole ideology is you've created this language, you've created this ideology, and you're creating the precedent that these things are the way that it should be naturally to everyone. And that's just not the case. I hate the soul tie shit. That drives me crazy. There's no evidence to show that that's how that works.
You guys have no idea. I look back at who I was. I was living in deception. I was living in ignorance. I thought this was a loving, godly relationship. I was lost.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And
It's this language of impure, broken, lost. When people talk to me as a coach or on Chewed Gum or whatever about their early sexual experiences, the language that I hear is this, which tells me that it is learned. The way that you process your sexual experiences is a learned thing in many cases. You learn that these things make you broken. And many times when I'm working with coaching clients, specifically with my female clients, I've had these really beautiful moments with them explaining how they are not broken. They are whole and they are fine. And much of what they're experiencing is so normal. For instance, desire discrepancies is like an easy one. Maybe her partner is wanting to have sex more often than she is, and she feels like she's broken. I've had this conversation 800 times on the show, with clients, whatever, and I will have it as many times as anyone ever wants me to because it is important that you hear it. You are not broken. There are a million factors at play. It could be your stress level. It could be the context in which this person is approaching you. It could be that there's not enough foreplay. It could be anticipation anxiety. All of these things that contribute to this, but the message that people are getting is you're broken. The message that people are getting is what I've done is impure and I should feel shame for it. And then it takes people like myself to rewire the way that these poor people are thinking about themselves, their self-worth. We are rebuilding the self-worth after this ideology, what these girls are describing, tears it down. Obviously, that's not their intent, but that is the reality of the situation.
I thought it was the end for me. I thought, how am I ever going to come back to this? And he brought me into a season where he just
Always a
transformed me
season.
into this woman of God. And thank you, Jesus. So anyone who's listening to us, thank you, Angela, for bringing that up. Image, not to be living in this relationship in deep sin. Nothing good will ever come from that you will never have peace in your life.
It wasn't from God. And I just really quickly want to speak to this culture that we're living in. Now, my girls specifically, but guys too, because this goes for the guys too. We live in a culture that makes me so unbelievably sick to my stomach, that men think that they can date you for as long as they want with no commitment, no intention, no vision, and no end in sight. People are like, why are we dating for no reason? You are not meant to become so emotionally attached to people. You are not supposed to feel like you're married to someone without being married. It doesn't make any sense. Do not listen to what the world is telling you.
Here's your dose of reality with that. I agree that there is a lot of this like situationship stuff. Really, what we could be working on is our communication skills within relationships. If you are constantly in communication with your with your partner, then you're able to have conversations like, "Hey, what is the goal? What is the timeline? Do we have any goals like together? Are we wanting to get married? Are we wanting to, own a home or get a dog or whatever?" That agreement comes out of conversation. If you are a person, and I've met these people before, they exist. If you are a person who is not super fixated on being married, on having one long term partner, they're sort of like going about their journey in a different way, and that's not really a priority to them, wonderful. But that person and the person for whom that is a priority probably should not be together. And my advice on all of this is when you have that conversation and a person shows you who they are, believe them. Don't go into overdrive trying to justify and fix the plan that they're trying to deliver to you. If you are with a person and they say, I don't know, I don't think I want to be in a relationship, but I really like hanging out and, I would just like to keep doing this exactly as we are. And that does not feel good to you. Do not go into overdrive thinking, well, he'll come around. Don't do that. Don't do that. Not only are they telling you exactly what they are intending to do with the relationship, and you're choosing not to believe them, which does kind of tie into like a self-worth thing. Like you're hearing it and you know that this is not going to make you happy long term, and yet you stay. There's something interesting that happens when we sort of betray the intention that we went into the situation with. When we give ourselves wiggle room over and over again on what we want out of life, our brain and our body starts to like not really trust when we put intentions out there anymore. For instance, if you are a person who says every January, I am going to start working out and this is going to be my year. And every single year for 5 years in a row, you get to February and you're like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. On that sixth year, your brain already knows you're not going to do it by February. But your brain, your body already knows this is a short-term thing. You've created this pattern where you already know how this ends. And then there's a really magical thing that happens when you start setting attainable goals and achieving them. You start to prove to yourself that you are capable of achieving those things. And that is important. It's how you build trust and integrity with yourself. Looping back around to them, when you go into these conversations with a current partner, potential partner, and I would really like to be in a committed romantic relationship with this person, and they are telling you that they are not willing and not able to do that, that is your cue to believe them. And maybe we find a different partner. And maybe you then get some distance from that person and you say, you know what? Actually, they probably weren't a good choice for me anyway. In any case, it's the communication skills. That's what we need. That's what we should be looking for.
That you can just to date, because you're young and you don't know what you want yet. Like that's
You
garbage.
don't.
If you're not ready to get married, you shouldn't.
No, you should date. Sorry, I can't get 3 seconds into this. You should date to get to know what you're looking for. And it doesn't make sense to me to only start to experience it when the stakes are so high, like getting married. Why would you want to get to know the type of person you want to be with after you guys are living in the same house and you're legally bound to each other? That sounds way scarier to me.
Be dating, period. If he's not ready to get married, do not disrespect yourself so much as to
Self-worth
wait
stuff
for a
again,
guy who
shame.
tells you that he's not yet ready. And by the way, this happens to men literally like this. Men will say this in their 30s, and it's the funniest thing to me in the world. It bothers me so much and literally kills me when I see the most beautiful women in relationships with men literally in their 30s. Even if he was 22, I don't care. Even men in their 30s who are like, they're dating for so long, they're like, yeah, I'm still not ready. I don't know what I want. If that man doesn't know what he wants, it means he doesn't want you, and you need to, and then that's not your fault. That's like, you cannot let yourself be in that position. I'm sorry I'm so passionate
I agree
about it,
with
but
that.
it's because I care about you guys so much, and we're living in a world of absolute garbage.
I agree with that. If you're dating somebody and you want to be in a committed relationship and they're telling you that they don't want that, dip. Don't be with someone who is not sure if they want to be with you.
When you're living in holiness, in walking in his will, you do not compromise. You learn when you know him, you then know yourself, and you love yourself so much that you get to the place where you are centered, you are anchored, and you are confident in God, and you don't compromise and you don't waste your time. And when you're in a relationship, you're like, okay, I'm in it because I'm in it to get married, and you don't waste 2-3 years being like, oh my gosh, he just broke my heart. You won't live with a broken heart. We're all honestly, we're all having identity crisis because we're living however we want.
True.
When you think to yourself, I don't know who I am, I'm lost. Well, it's because you're living in sin. You're clouded. Of course you don't know who you are. You're constantly doing things out.
You don't know who you are because you're just trying and doing everything that you want to, but you will know who you are when you follow our rules explicitly and live exactly the way that we tell you to. Then you will really know who you truly are.
Side of the will of God, because you don't know yourself. You don't know Jesus. You're living however you want. But when we
You're
do
living.
know better, we have to do better.
So good. Everything you said, all I could hear was, you're giving your body to somebody who's not your person.
No, see, and I hate that. I hate that. The show that we do is called Chewed Gum. So that's one of the analogies that they use, one of the exercises they use to teach young girls about virginity, where they'll say, nobody wants a piece of gum that's already been chewed. I remember getting the tape one, which was they would take a piece of tape, they'd put it on one person's arm and rip it off. And then they would do that with a bunch of people across the room. And then they would just have this piece of tape that had skin cells and oil and gross stuff on it. And they would say, this is useless. You can't even use this anymore. So now you've met your husband. And now, okay, here's the thing. We are not tape. We are not gum. We are not a key or a lock. We are none of those things. We are human beings. And guess what? You can actually have sex with many people and your body will go back to the way it was before. There is no biological way to tell if a person is a virgin or not. The hymen doesn't break, you don't stay loose or stretched or whatever. So to say this with the disgust she has in her voice, again, I know they're not trying to, I think they're not trying to shame people, but you are. You are. This is not loving the way that you think it is. You are not living in the reality of what people are dealing with right now. This is not helpful. You're creating shame. You're creating self-worth issues.
And we learned that there's so many Christians who think that just having sex, that's bad. But then everything else is okay. That I just want to say that there are people who literally are, okay, I'm just going to say there are people who are virgins, and this is a really strong take, but it's mine and I'll stand by it. There are people who are virgins, so who don't have sex, so they're virgins, but they will literally engage in every other thing. But you know what I mean? They're engaging in all these things, saying that they're pure.
This is what I was saying in part one. The other thing is you are banking on everyone having an aligned view of what is sex, what is not sex, what is going to be sin punishable by death, and what will be okay. These are rules that you have made up. So where is the guide? I guess this is what they're doing right now. Where's the guide that tells you what's the thing that's going to send you to hell and what's not? And did you make that up, or is it explicitly listed in the Bible? There's too much wiggle room. There's just too much. I want people to get to a point in their lives where they have a committed relationship, if that's what they want, and their self-worth isn't completely destroyed along the way. And I'm telling you right now, what you are talking about is going to wreck it. It is going to wreck it. And the more balanced approach that I would like to offer will not. And I know that based on research. I know that based on evidence. And you know your things based on faith and a book.
Like baiting and grooming women, being like, oh, I'm a good Christian man, you don't have to worry. Oh, but is this okay? Oh, but can I do this? Can I touch you here? Can I do this? I see it happen all the time. These are the men that you stay away from. A man who pursues purity is one who says, I love Jesus so much that I respect you so much that I will never put you in a compromised position where I affect my purity and yours. They don't text you late at night. They don't do all this crazy stuff. You guys are so smart. You know somebody's intentions. You know when somebody is not behaving. If your radar starts to go off, if you have to question and evaluate, is this guy godly? Because he's probably not fully living right.
I'll give you the non-godly version of that because I think that she is right. If a person is making you question if they like you or not, they don't. They don't like you enough. If you are questioning if they respect you, they don't. When people show you who they are, believe them. Whether they're Christian or not, believe them.
You have to even question it.
I love that you just brought that up, because especially when you're a new Christian
Yeah.
and you meet a guy that's
And
going to
also,
church and
I also am sure that this is like even worse in an environment like if you meet somebody at church or whatever, because they are probably under the assumption of, oh, this person is godly and they are aligned on the things that I believe. And then, here you are and you're like, I don't think this person respects me at all if you're not so careful. So that feels even scarier to me. And like the opportunity for manipulation is really there.
Be careful, beware of the wolves in sheep's clothing. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Do not just listen to how somebody talks. You will truly know them by their fruit. And I know that you guys know, and I just want you to have discernment.
I was in a relationship where, and I remember myself like sobbing. I was like, but it was he loved Jesus, and it was a good he was Christian, and it was a good relationship. And I remember a mentor saying, was he leading you to purity? Was he honoring you? No. And she was like, then what are you crying for?
Whoa.
And I was like, you're right. Like that, it's true.
Marriage was created as, I think I talked about it last episode maybe, but marriage was created as this, perfect representation, a prophetic picture of our relationship with Christ. He is the groom, we are the bride. And so when marriage is
Yuck, Ange. What? That's so gross. I thought we were his child. Are we his child or are we his bride? Are we the child bride? Probably. What the fuck, guys?
like the most beautiful thing. It really is. So it's not something to idolize, but it is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And sex inside of marriage is the most beautiful thing. But sex outside of marriage, the physical, spiritual, and emotional implications on it. Let's even talk about the physical implications. STDs are rampant in society. Everything that God asks of us is out of our own protection. It's only because he's like, I know that this thing is good, but it's good in this context because it's so good that it's dangerous. It's so good. It's so special. It's so sacred that it has to have a covering.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's too deep.
Yeah.
It's too intimate.
Yeah.
It binds you with somebody.
Yeah.
Binds you with somebody. The physical implications of risking an STD, which happens to people all the time, and it's almost so normalized that you got this thing, don't worry about it. Come take a pill. Thank you, Jesus, for medication. That is like a form of His grace on the mistakes that we make. But like that is another huge reason why we abstain, and it's really that should be enough motivation for all of us.
States that teach abstinence-only education are the ones with the highest STI rates in the country. When you teach people how to protect themselves, they do. Imagine that. And it's also, I get this argument a lot when people talk to me about how virginity doesn't matter and it's like not real and whatever. A lot of them will say, well, then you're exposing yourself to STIs. It's like, yeah, you are, but you also can use protection. And if you are being diligent with protection, you won't get an STI. That's it. Are you never going to go into an airport because there are so many germs in there? You'll probably catch a cold. You'll probably get sick with something. No, that's not God's covering. That's germs. It's just life. Why would God create germs even? Let's have that conversation. Someone call in with that shit.
Just our body.
It's spiritual. It's spiritual. It's one. You're not meant to be doing that.
The disgust she has is crazy.
100%.
You really aren't.
Please, for the love of God, stop giving your body to someone who's not your spouse. Stop giving your body to somebody who doesn't deserve it. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve you. Please take it from two girls who have lived all the ways, done all the things. Nobody's forcing us to make these decisions.
I'm sure they haven't done all the things.
I know that you're watching this thinking, how could I possibly do it? I thought to myself, what is life? Who am I? What am I without this? Do you know how insane it has gone from literally being viewed as, honestly?
I have to say this because it makes me laugh. My grandmother, my nonna, she had the stressy depressies like the rest of us. And she would say, what is life? Life is nothing. And I hear my mother in like the other room going, Ma, life is everything. It's literally all we have. And like this was like a conversation in my house all the time. So what is life?
A sexual physical object my whole life since I was a little person, a little child, like a kid. I remember being a kid and feeling sexualized and feeling objectified.
Yeah. And you want to know who does that a lot? You want to talk about the $250 million settlement that the Archdiocese just had for all of the sexual abuse that their clergy inflicted on children. But also, the way that she's describing this is from the lens of a person who is feeling vulnerable and shamed and embarrassed about their sexuality. I recognize this a mile away, partially because I personally have been there and also because of my line of work. And so I'm seeing a woman here who's telling you that if you decide to commit to purity and Jesus Christ, you will not feel shame any longer. You will be renewed, blah, blah, blah. What I'm hearing right now is a girl who feels shame in her sexuality, such that the feeling that she had being sexualized as a child is still unresolved. It still affects her and lives in her body. So that does not feel like a person who is fully healed to me. Maybe some people will have other thoughts about that, but that's how it sounds to me.
It is the lowest form of validation
The
to be
lowest.
sexy, to be desired for your physical body and what you can offer physically. It's not real, it's not valuable, it means nothing. And I remember you joked about it, how like you lost your oomph after, you know, not being whatever. And I felt that too, where I had a period of feeling unattractive. I felt not feminine. I didn't feel good about myself. I saw it physically. I'm like, I just don't look, I don't like the way I look because I don't have that thing. But then eventually you get used to it and you realize, oh, it's because I'm being valued for so many other things. And I know that my husband one day, I know that he's not going to value sexy.
Yeah.
He's not going to value me.
Yeah, I'm sure your husband is going to look at you and not acknowledge at all that you are gorgeous and obviously take care of yourself. Like, you have winged liner and lip filler, and maybe that is her natural hair color, but it's curled perfectly, and the top she's wearing is showing some shoulder. And I'm happy that people are doing those things. I think people should do those things. But then for you to say that looks don't matter to you and you don't really care about being sexy is just so dishonest.
Walking around and looking or having that look in my eye or what I can offer.
Yeah.
That is not the way that God wants us to live.
No, it isn't. It isn't. I love it. Beautiful, Ange.
I
I agree. And I lived the same way my whole life. And it left me feeling so empty and so broken. That's all I thought I was good for, was my sex appeal,
Yeah.
my looks, what I can give to a man. And that is the lowest layer of death.
Somebody isn't going to be attracted to you forever without Jesus
That's
in
what
their
it
lives.
is.
I know. Ugh, don't make
That's
me.
why there's so much divorce.
Because everybody is thinking about, am I attracted to them?
Yeah.
How do I still think
Yeah.
they're sexy? I'm sorry to tell you, but the chemicals that you release in the honeymoon stage do not last forever.
Don't talk about chemicals like you know. You don't know. You don't know this information. There's not like a secret special box of hormones that opens up when you just are married. You know, that's really silly. And it's the same shit as the soul tie stuff. There are people who have sex on the first date, end up marrying that person, and are deeply in love with each other. You're just ignoring what all types of people want and need out of their relationships. And then you're making them feel like they shouldn't have those wants and needs. Like those are evil, those are impure, those make you broken. And no one is getting married to a person purely because they're having sex. No one is doing that. You're not having sex all day, every day with your partner. Surely you're doing something. Surely the laundry has to be done. Like, it's like you're going to have to stop and eat. You have to enjoy the person that you're with, hopefully, to get married to them, but you're not just having sex with a person all day long. And that's the reason why you get married.
I'm going to throw up. I literally know men and women in situations where men like end up not being attracted to her after a little while. She gets a little older. You're not attracted to her anymore. She gets pregnant with your own child and you're not attracted to her anymore. When a man doesn't have Jesus, or a woman, because it is not just for men, when somebody does not have Jesus, they're not right in the head.
Right.
They will not ever look at you right. They will not ever treat you right. You will only be, how attracted am I to you in the fiery fun part of our relationship? And once that's over, so sorry, the flame is gone. I gotta go.
That's just such bullshit. Come on. You think that people who don't have Jesus in their heart, which means you're lumping in people who are Muslim, you're lumping in people who are Jewish, you're lumping in people who are Hindu, like everyone who doesn't have Jesus specifically in their lives, all of their relationships are surface level. They have no depth in their relationships at all. And their romantic relationships are just fucking. Really?
It is they are trying to fill a void that you will never be able to fill.
Their lust.
Their
Yeah.
lust, their lust, that it's either going to be you, their work, and they're always going to have a lack of peace, and there will always be a lack of peace in your relationship, because
Yes.
if Jesus isn't sitting in the center and you are not following in obedience to him, it's death.
Yes.
It's death.
It
You
is.
guys are
And
pissing
if you
me
want
off
to know
now,
why
actually.
everybody, if you look around,
Yeah.
everybody is depressed, they're anxious, they're breaking up. The divorce rate is higher in this generation than ever. No one lasts 5, 7, you go 10 years and
they're not even getting married in the first place.
They're not even getting
Because you're
married.
together for 4 years,
Yeah.
and then obviously by that time you're out of the honeymoon stage, and you think that you just don't love the person
That's
anymore.
right.
When really you just needed Jesus.
That's all you needed. That's all you needed.
Like, you
No, like literally, literally no. I wish that people had better conflict resolution skills. I wish that they had better communication skills. I think that that would help tremendously when it comes to these relationships. They just keep talking about the divorce rate. No one wants to get married, blah, blah, blah. You can do whatever you want in this life. You are living in the effect of the life that you have created, no matter how that looks to you. When you are given the advice that these women are giving you, you are going to process all of these sexual experiences in a way that is so unhealthy. Of course, these people are going to be depressed hearing this perspective of all of it. Imagine how different people would feel about themselves if they were told your value as a human being has nothing to do with the amount of people that you've had sex with. Your value as a partner has nothing to do with that. And you actually can have sex with as many people as you want to. And it doesn't really mean anything beyond the fact that you wanted to do that thing. It doesn't change the kind of relationship you'll have in the future. And in some ways, it might enhance it. Imagine how differently people would act in their relationships.
we love because he first loved us. We cannot love someone in our own strength. You can't love someone properly.
You can't.
You can be lustful and on fire
Right,
for
right.
a little, but you
Please.
can't love someone
No,
properly.
you can't.
You know, and it's just all I could think of is there's no hate like Christian love.
Why is this our? There's authority in this because we live it. Because we live
That's
it.
what it is. We did. Our hearts were. My heart was destroyed because of this. And I see so many of you running up to the altar when I meet you guys. Your hearts are destroyed, and I want you to live right. Jesus has such an amazing, peaceful everything. He has so much fruit at the end of the promised land, but it involves you walking in the will. It involves you picking up your cross and carrying it and following it. And it's not easy. He never said it was going to be easy, but it's worth it. It's freedom. That's truth. There is freedom at the
I can't believe they're selling this as freedom. That makes me so upset. I actually don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless.
the end of it.
1 Corinthians says that it is the only sin that you commit against your own body. You're not only just hurting Jesus, you're hurting the other person, and you're hurting yourself. You are hurting yourself. If we can do it, I swear you can do it.
And the fact that you're watching this tells me that you want to go the other way and you want to follow Jesus. And all it takes is you to just say, Lord, help me.
Yeah. Yes.
I need help. Help me. I repent. Help me. Show me how I can let this go. I don't want to keep living the ways of the world of what feels good for me.
Yes.
I want to live for you and what feels good for you.
So good. Thank you, Jesus. I am on fire right now.
Fire. You want to go for a run?
You want to go for a run? Let's go.
Go for a run.
Let's go for a run and call all of our ex-boyfriends and yell at them.
Let's call all our ex-boyfriends and say, why was I so heartbreaking over you? You love the world. You sinner.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Well, we would never do
Let's
that.
go yell in the streets.
Let's go.
And yell
You're
at
going to
everyone. Let's go tell everyone to stop having sex.
Can we please? You already do that everywhere you go.
I really do.
We love you guys so much. Invite them into your circumstance. Like Ari said, you are nowhere near too far gone.
Okay, I'm done. It's not that I'm surprised because I'm really not. Like I know that this is kind of what we were in for with this conversation. I wish I could describe how harmful this is in one concise way. I think it's so interesting that when these groups of people talk about feminists or they talk about like sex positive groups or woke people, they think in comparison that they are experiencing freedom. And it's like hard for me to wrap my mind around that because what they've presented is rules, shame, judgment, all of the things that they are called not to do. It's just so hypocritical. as usual. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I will be back next Tuesday and next Thursday with new videos. If there's anything that you would like me to react to, please let me know in the comments. And please make sure that you are liking and subscribing so that I continue to be pushed out in the algorithm and we can reach some more people so that they are not subjected to this freedom that is being presented. Thank you so much. Goodbye.